Okay, so I think it's time we did a bit more women's sports content because the WSL has an agreement with the BBC to broadcast one live game per match day weekend. Now, today's live game was between Bristol City and Manchester United at Ashton Gate. It's finished 2-0 to Manchester United, but that first half was not great from them, considering all the possession they had. And they did create some good chances, but they looked frustrated. They looked frustrated with themselves. I think Bristol City, with their tactics, were to frustrate Manchester United by being a bit more conservative in their play and more defensively minded. So they start with a back five. Manchester United, while they had a lot of the ball, was slow, methodical, and a bit plodding in possession. Now, if I was discussing the men's team, that would be week in, week out, Manchester United not good enough. This women's side are actually quite a good side. They took it down to the last day of the season, last season against Chelsea. Bristol City got promoted last season. So these are two sides at different stages of development and experience. Because this Bristol City side, their average age makes me feel old because their average age is 24 years and 89 days. I'm nearly 34 years old, so I've got 10 years on the average of that Bristol City squad. So they make me feel old. I feel like I need a Zimmer frame. And they did show that youth and inexperience today. Manchester United, though, that was not a good first half. In fact, that first half was only memorable because Clark, the Bristol City goalkeeper, and Earps, obviously Mary Earps, the Man United and England goalkeeper, pulled off some very good saves. Earps very low down to our left. If that goes in, I think we're having a different conversation because Manchester United at that point were not playing well. They were sloppy in possession. The play kept breaking down. There was not enough movement off the ball and very methodical. And it was very, very all in front of the Bristol defence. It's easy to defend. However, when they did create chances, they forced Clark, the Bristol City goalkeeper, into some very, very good saves in the first half. And if it's not for her, it finishes 7 or 8-0. And I'm saying that because the way Manchester United played in the second half, they still created chances, and Clark is still forced to make saves. So it's 0-0 at half time, and I would think if you're looking at the stats and you look at the form going into this game, if you actually are one of those analytical stats nerds who like the advanced stats, Bristol City haven't got a point at home this season. They've played better away from home than at home. They've scored more goals away from home than at home. And it plays out like that in the second half where there's a 5-minute spell where they completely lose the game and Manchester United win the game. Miyazawa's shot is deflected. Now, if it's not deflected, Clark saves that. So it's not an off-target shot, it's the deflection which diverts it past the goalkeeper, who's now going the wrong way, who was going the right way before the deflection. That spurts Manchester United into life. Before then, the beginning of the second half, they're on the back foot. They've started slowly, sloppily, and Bristol are starting to show a bit of life in attack. But with that youth and exuberance, they've left themselves exposed. Nikita Parris' goal comes on 54 minutes, and there's that debate of whether she should be back in the England women's team. She missed out on the World Cup under Serena Wiegman. She's not been part of Wiegman's plans for a couple of years. So there's that debate whether, she should be in the England side. She's playing quite well at the moment. She had a very, very good game. Scores a very good goal. Had a goal ruled off for offside about 10 minutes later, which is the correct decision. There were 2 goals ruled for offside. Ella Toone had a goal ruled off for offside as well. And that's the end of the scoring. Yes, Manchester United get the win because they're a bit more clinical in front of goal, and when they do click and they've got that extra quality, you can see they've got that more experience, more quality. They are a better side on paper, and it proves, but they did labour to the win today. Now, if I was describing the men's Manchester United side, they probably have lost that game with the way it was played out. But Bristol City, they are a very young side, very inexperienced side. Now, the women's international window is next week. So the men's game has just come back from their international break. The women go into their international break. Now, the women get a longer winter break than the men as well. So there won't be many WSL games before Christmas. I think there's going to be another round of fixtures, when they come back from the international break. Then they go into the winter break, and then January is when they resume play. So December is a bit of a disrupted month for women's football. But Manchester United, I think, if they are to seriously challenge Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City again this season, they're going to have to improve when they are in possession. They're going to have to pass and move the ball a lot quicker than that. Bristol City, if they're to stay up, they're going to have to make one or two signings in the transfer window. And they're going to have to work as a unit on the training field to just improve when they do get the ball back. They need to improve their communication a little bit. They need to improve their own play. It's all well and good defending. It's what you do when you get the ball back. They were rushing a lot of stuff. And I do think there is that clear step up from the Women's Championship to the WSL. You can definitely see there's a fitness gap as well. They need to work on their fitness during that winter break. If they can work on their fitness, do some fitness drills, some extra training drills, I think they can still scrap and fight. They showed a lot of willingness today. They did create chances, but you could see that lack of experience at that higher level. You can see the gap between a team that's competing for titles and a team that's trying to fight a relegation battle. But it was a decent second half. First half was not a great advert for football in general. You get games like that. You get games where it's a slow burner. It's not really a memorable game, and then suddenly it spurts into life, and you get some action points. That was one of these games today. Now, before people go, "Oh, it's women's football," it's crap. I've seen many a men's game where it's even worse than this, where it's a mid-season game, it's a nothing game, it's one of them. It's mid-season. The teams are going through the motions. One team is at the bottom of the table. One team's sort of at the upper ends of the table. And I've seen games like this where it is a non-event, where it's just a really dour, poor performance, where there's just not much quality, the energy levels are low. The energy levels in this game, especially on the Bristol side of things, were there. There was commitment there. Manchester United, the willingness was there, the execution wasn't, and I don't think they were quite at the races today. They did enough. But as I say, in the men's game sometimes, in men's football, and in just sport in general, you do get games like this which just never really get going. And you want them to get going. And there were flashes in this game, but the first half wasn't great. Second half was better. Manchester United finally started to show their quality in attack when they're actually getting the passes in the right place. They're passing with a bit more pace. There's more movement off the ball. I think it took the deflection for the goal, the first goal, to wake them up. But they didn't kick on and get that third, that fourth, that fifth. And that's down to partly the Bristol City defence still making the tackles, still willing to compete for everything, and their goalkeeper Clark pulling off a string of great saves as well. But there we go. It's finished 2-0 to Manchester United in the WSL today against Bristol City. Key win. Bristol, they got to hope West Ham have a heavier defeat to lift them off the bottom, because they are bottom by goal difference and they played an extra game. So it's been a tough return to the top level for them. But hey, there's still a bit of fight in them, and we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below if you watch the game, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.